bought an airplane for just $2,000 and turned it into something unbelievable. Jo lost everything: her husband, her house. No, she has no place to live and was being a burden on her friend's house. However, one day, her brother-in-law gave her the bizarre idea of buying an airplane, which she did for only $2,000. The woman transformed the plane into something impressive with her own hands. Jo was a happy woman who had a job, a loving husband and children, and a supportive mom. She never wished for anything else. However, life had other plans for her, and it intended to take everything she loved and cherished. But what doesn't harm you makes you stronger, and this proverb suits perfectly well on Jo and her never-give-up attitude. Back in 1993, a terrifying hurricane hit the world in which many people lost their lives as well as their homes. Jo and her neighbors were one of them. They had no roof to live under and there was panic and chaos in her area. She didn't know what to do, or where to go, and was completely blank, feeling hopeless and dejected. Jo stood in the ruins of her home and went into a flashback where she had gathered beautiful memories with her happy family. Her husband had built the house with his own hands and now it's nothing but a disaster. The house was not just brick and mortar. Jo was emotionally attached to it and the loss had mentally disturbed her. The difficult part was that Jo's husband passed away a few months before and now she was the only one to look after her mother and children. So the woman contacted all her friends to help her out in times of desperation and, thankfully, one of her friends came forward. Jo and her family were living at a friend's house until they found a new home to move into. Jo worked as a cosmetologist, which made her situation worse, as the woman couldn't earn much to buy a new home. Her budget was $5,000 and was looking for something cheap and small but enough to accommodate her family. But with such little money, she began to get offers for small trailers, which obviously weren't big enough for the family. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Jo found her light in 1994 when her husband's brother, Richard, gave an absurd idea. He worked as an air traffic controller at Greenwood Airport at the time and told his sister-in-law to consider the option of leaving on a plane. In this desperate and hopeless situation, Jo was going to turn every stone, and she agreed to give a try to this unusual idea. Not only there would be enough space on the plane but also the family lived near the airport where one of the leading aircraft restoration companies regularly made planes for a group. Richard was a company manager and took her on a little tour. The moment the woman's eyes fell on the decommissioned Continental Airlines plane, she yelled, "I want that one." It was love at first sight. The old aeroplane was anyway sitting and collecting dust for several months in the parking lot. If Jo hadn't picked up the old vehicle, it would have gone down in the history disassembled from metal. It was a Boeing 727 with the registration number 88701. The beauty made its first flight on May 11, 1968 and worked till September 20, 1993. After its last flight, the airplane has been sitting empty at Greenwood Airport, occupying space and therefore the authorities had no problem selling Boeing 727 at a negligible price. Jo bought it for just $2,000, which was the cost of the metal and another $4,000 for the transportation cost. The airplane obviously looked unappealing and was also dropped during transportation, but somehow it reached its destination. Boeing 727 was placed in such a way that its tail was fixed on concrete support while its front was positioned over a lake to give the plane a more dynamic look as if it was flying through the air. The interior was spacious and bright with a width of 4 meters and 76 side windows and 10 cockpit windows. Jo sat down and began to draw a blueprint to transform the inside of the plane into a living and loving home. The floor plan consisted of 3 bedrooms, a living room, a dining room, a fully equipped kitchen, a laundry room, her favorite room, and a bathroom with a hot tub. She planned to install a hot tub where the cockpit was, while the controls were retained to give a feel of an airplane. Joe in total spent $24,000 to fulfill the dream of having a fully equipped house and, of course, a lot of hard work. The woman hired a tool kit from the airport manager and, armed with 9-inch and 16-inch wrenches and a screwdriver, she was ready to make her hands dirty. The daring lady did most of the work by herself, just like her husband, who built their former house with his own hands. All floors were brought to the same level, after which they were insulated and carpeted and linoleum was laid in the kitchen. One original airplane toilet was kept and hadn't been removed, as well as the upper luggage compartments were retained to provide storage space. To open and close the rear staircase, a garage door opener was used, and utilities such as electricity, water supply, and plumbing were installed just like any other home. The house inside Boeing 727 had everything: an air conditioner, oven, washing machine, dishwasher, 3 bedrooms with large beds, and a hot tub, which is a perfect place to relax on a cold winter day. The main tub is also located there directly above the lake, making for an unforgettable view of the impression of flying. Joe successfully turned an old rotted plane into an economical and energy-efficient home. Her family loves the place. The grandchildren run around the large courtyard outside the plane while the adults love to fish and rest, and even her friends prefer to party in her abode. Joe renamed her new home Little Trump after Donald Trump's $16 million corporate jet, which is also a Boeing 727. Even after many years of living here, I can't shake off the feeling that I've been flying, said Joe. She also plans to buy a bigger plane to move into.